Okay, hello, Shairoze. Thank you very much. So I'd like to introduce Shairoze Akram, the 2016 Under-21 All-Ireland winner with Mayo, for joining me here with their dialogue. It's really a pleasure to have you here. So Shairoze, here at Air Dialogue, our aim is the advancement of social cohesion by connecting communities, empowering people to engage and contribute to the development of ideas and on dialogue and community building. Over the last 25 years, Ireland has become a much more multicultural society as people from across the world have arrived here in search of opportunities, in what is many ways a role reversal of what Irish people were doing for generations before. Unfortunately, however, with this influx, there has been a rise in hate crime as an issue. Now, of course, that is an issue that can be found anywhere in the world, but still we feel that as ignorance and fear drive people apart, it can create an issue. So one medium that here at Air Dialogue we believe has an enormous power to unite communities and provide space for communication and dialogue is sport. The GAA is the largest sport association in Ireland, and Gaelic football is the most popular sport in the country. Therefore, I believe it's a fantastic opportunity to provide a platform for inclusion and dialogue over the meaning of sport. So firstly, Shairoze, I would just like to ask you, how initially did you become involved with the GAA?
Firstly, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this chat and seeing what sort of traction this event can create and hopefully can make a difference in the long run. Then going back to my involvement in the GAA, so I first started playing Gaelic football when I was in primary school, so at the latter end of primary school, 5th and 6th class. I'd done it as a social aspect initially. There was a couple of coaches, a couple of mentors that came in that I'd known through my friends. They were my friends' parents, or Andy was another one that came in and kind of done PE with us. So there was a number of people that kind of pushed me and edged me towards picking it up, just to get involved and kind of keep meeting my friends inside school and outside school. So that was the initial reason I picked up sports, was to meet my friends outside of.
Yeah. So at first it was just a social way of getting to, just essentially just hanging out with friends, being a kid, what people would do. It wasn't like that you would always aspire to be a GAA player. It was that initially you just wanted to be making friends and opening a dialogue, let's say.
At 11 years old, you're not looking on to think that I'm going to go end up playing GAA, because to be honest, I was no good at Gaelic football at the start. I was very, very poor. I didn't understand the rules. To be honest, I didn't even watch it. Coming from a Pakistani family, like, it wasn't Irish TV that was on our channels at home. It was a lot of Asian channels. The odd time you might watch Premier League or something, or Champions League, but GAA was very seldomly on the TV, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, then, in that sense, do you believe that the GAA has, as it's Ireland's most popular sport, do you believe it can provide an opportunity to open a dialogue, especially around the issue of hate crime?
Absolutely. Even since I picked it up. So when I was 12, we're going back about 13 years, 14 years now. When I picked it up, the people that have since joined GAA from minority backgrounds is a huge step in that. When I was playing, there was very, very few, just a handful, I would say. Whereas now there's a lot more people from all sorts of backgrounds, not just Asian or Pakistani backgrounds. You have people of African descent, traveller descent, all sorts of kind of communities kind of coming in, which is brilliant to see. And the question you asked is in terms of the dialogue. The more people you have getting involved, the more that the sport is changing. It creates for opportunities and, like you say, an open conversation to help everyone in the local community.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, in that case, then maybe reflecting on your own experience, but do you believe that Ireland would just existingly have an issue with hate crime? And would you say at times that has been present in the GAA or reflected in the GAA?
I think hate crime exists everywhere, not just solely in Ireland. But the conversation we're having right now is focusing on Ireland. It'd be ignorant to say that it doesn't exist. Like any community, like any country, there is a small minority that we're hopefully going to win over and get them on the right kind of path and get everyone involved and talking about the right things. Within the GAA, I myself had a very handful of comments made on the pitch when I was younger. But I know people that have messaged me since that aren't as heavily involved with underage county teams or minor county teams that would get it kind of a little bit more often, which is disappointing to hear for them. because as a country, I'd like to hope that we're moving on with the times and making people more welcome, especially on a sporting pitch. You're going out there to enjoy recreational activity with your friends, just to get some physical activity in. And like some kids might just be picking up sports as a social aspect. It's the last thing they want to be receiving is racial abuse on the pitch. So it does exist, I would say.
Okay. Well, then, in your own opinion, in what way can sport, in particular, Jay, maybe provide a platform for a cultural dialogue and help mitigate that issue of hate crime? Like, what more could be done, maybe?
In terms of what can be done, I think the GA are putting a lot more work into educating local club members, and especially players. I think people from a young age is where you're going to see the difference. So educating the youth, which are going to bring it forward, I think is very, very important. I know Croke Park have run a lot of workshops on inclusion and diversity and racism and stuff. So it's a step in the right direction. Another thing that I think is hugely important is to be able to see people from minority backgrounds on GA pitches, which you're seeing a lot more of now throughout Ireland. Like you've Leach in with Wexford, you've Baidu with Westmeath, you've a lot more guys that are representing county teams, which is then going to help, again, opening up a dialogue and getting people comfortable with that. Whereas in the past, I don't think if people didn't see it, they didn't kind of accept it. It's kind of like the 2020 the ladies slogan that was kind of, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And I'd say it's pretty similar for people of minority backgrounds. And then the work that Super Value are doing now with last year's campaign and even this year's campaign, it's the Bring It On campaign. And they're doing a lot of work and getting people from minority backgrounds. So just getting them in the spotlight, getting them talking about their stories, which are good stories. They've basically provided a huge platform. And it's then being showed between championship games. It's been showed as an ad on TV, and they're promoting it. They've put a lot of work into it. So
promoting further dialogue, essentially.
Exactly, and that's getting the conversation going and getting people aware. And I think that's a huge having a huge impact. People are more aware and they're more conscious of what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and they're learning from it. I won't say that we're there yet, but we're on the right track to getting a better Ireland, I'd hope.
Absolutely. Well, then that kind of leads into my next question, is that what do you think, like obviously Ireland is definitely changing in terms of, we can even see that in the most recent soccer team that played there, that we definitely got a new breath of fresh air into Ireland from all over the world. But still, while there is yourself and Lee Chin and Boido for Westmeath, do you think that, like, there should be an increase in involvement in the GA from people from multicultural backgrounds? Like, what can the GA do to attract people who are, say, from Brazil, who have recently arrived, or, these people are quickly to get involved in maybe the local soccer teams because that's the sport they know, but this is an Irish sport that's incredibly popular here.
I think when you're coming to a new country or you're coming to a new place, you try and do things that make you feel welcome and kind of give you some part of home. So like you mentioned, the soccer clubs with guys coming back from Brazil, they live and breathe soccer. But I think it's about welcoming other communities to the GA and just reaching out to them, giving that hand, getting them into the club. Because I think once they're involved with the GA club, anyone that comes in very rarely goes unless they move to a different area. They stay involved no matter what their level is. And the more they stick at it, the better they get, or everyone gets, to be honest. So I think it's up to the local clubs when there's an influx of people or people from other backgrounds that have moved in, to just get in touch with them. I think a lot of groups, they all have kind of somebody that'll have that leadership role. So reach out to them, let them know of the facilities that are available, the training sessions, whatever might be going on. And another thing I think could be important is the financial aspect. So people that are moved to Ireland mightn't have a lot of money behind them. So just being aware of those costs and stuff. I know with my own club, when the Syrian refugees moved into the centre there in Ballahadreen, our club kind of got together some football boots, just gear, shorts, t-shirts, anything that could help them and get them involved with the club, because it can be costly. And a lot of the times parents don't have that money for their kids. So just little things like that, that'll make them feel welcome. And once they're in the club, then just making sure that they are participating. If they're not there, just reach out to them, see what's happening. And then on the other hand, it is a two-way street. You can give all the help that you want, but you kind of need to put yourself out there and get involved too. So it's kind of both sides. Once the help is given to you, you need to kind of keep going, make yourself participate in things, help out with kind of events that go on with the club. And that's how you're going to integrate into the local community as well.
Yeah, become part of the community. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly, essentially.
Okay, well then finally I'd just like to ask you, what would your advice be to someone who arriving in Ireland from a multicultural background, who's interested in becoming involved in the GAA and say creating a new stage of dialogue, around sport, where people say from all over the world they can talk about sport and share that. What would your bit of advice?
To be honest, I'd tell them to get involved with the club first. I know initially, like myself, you might know the rules, you might know anything of the game. It's a completely alien game and sport to you. But until you get involved, it's like with foods. Until you try them, you don't know if you like them or not.
Yeah.
So get involved, try it. Initially, you might not be good at it, but stick with it and give it a chance. And over time, you will pick up the rules, and you will get better. So you're going to start at rock bottom, but it's only going to go up the way for you in the right direction. So I would say get involved, put your mind to it, and listen to your trainers and coaches, because a lot of them have been involved with local GA clubs for years and years, so they know what they're on about.
Yeah. Well, brilliant. Well, thank you very, very much for joining us today, Shairoze. And I would just like to remind anyone who's watching the video, just on Saturday, the 2nd of July, we will be hosting a community engagement breakfast in the Donecarney Community Centre in Dublin, where we're welcoming Assistant Commissioner of An Garda Síochána, Paul Hillman, who's going to be talking about what they're doing around policing the issue of hate crime in Ireland. So I hope everyone can join us, and we will attach a link to our Eventbrite page in the post. So thank you again so much, Shairoze, for joining us today.
Thanks a million, Rowan. I'm looking forward to this, and hopefully we can, like you mentioned, open up a dialogue and see where it takes us. Thanks again.
Thank you.